And now, Westerley Vr Roundup, May 21. Westerley Vr for stars. Westerley Vr for stars and cars. Westerley Vr for stars. Westerley Vr for stars and cars. 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 Welcome along to the Westerley Vr May 21 review. Let's start by reminding ourselves where the month started in the individuals classification. Very, very tight at the top. Ned Bowen from Transatlantic Raiders and Nick Greenhalgh from Razio Racing sharing 183 points, and Razio Racing really dominating with Mark Rowbottom in third place on 180 points. Carlos Sella, Johan Olofsson and Walter Claes, Christophe Quentin, James Melville from Scotland, Stefan Kruger from South Africa, and Kader Aluni, the winner of the first race, making up the top 10 and only 12 points between them. So on to Series 3, Race 3. Eaton Cycles, this was very, very flat. A large field, you can see 77 riders on the line there. Most of them got off together, so it was a large pack. Only a few got left behind, so it was going to be a very large finish unless somebody could break away and split the pack. That was never going to happen, but there were several brave attempts along the way. We have to give credit to most aggressive riders. As you can see, this was a very, very, very flat course. You see Alistair McAlpine there going off on a little solo jaunt, trying to split the pack and break it, test it all out. But to no avail, because inevitably a peloton that size has got the power and pulls him straight back in. He wasn't the only one. You can see here people trying to get off the front. Some lovely views. This is all ZMS recordings. Thank you very much for them. They put the little drones in and get these extra views that the rest of us can't get on our machines, and they do add something to it, don't they? It's like watching Eurosport. Anyway, as I say, this peloton was going to stick together for a long, long time because the route was flat and nobody had the ability to break it, and I think the numbers just made that more and more difficult, as we've already said. Here we have another one breaking away but getting pulled back in the woods there. I think it's fairly inevitable, but I think these little attacks do make the race interesting and keep everybody amused along the way. Fortunately, they're not too long a races, so it doesn't get too tedious. Nick Stevenson, always known to have a little bit of a go on the front there from Westerley CC, and inevitably getting pulled back as usual. Nick probably Westerly's stronger rider, but unfortunately can't make every race, which does sort of thwart our attempts to do well in the team competition. So here we see halfway, and you see most of the peloton still together. It hasn't broken at all, and so we fast forward, I think, to the Flamme Rouge, and we'll watch the last 100 metres as they race for the line. It is going to be a bunch sprint, and it is a very, very large one, certainly by RGT standards, and certainly by our standards. This was probably one of the flattest races, if not the flattest race we've ever actually put on in the Westerley VR series, and it did prove exciting at the end, and even for some of us, we even managed to stay in the peloton almost to the end, so it was a bit of a thrill for us lesser mortals to just stay up there. But when it came to the bunch sprint, that was always going to be for the top riders. And as you can see here now, with just over 800 metres to go, everybody getting into position, everybody lining themselves up. You can see people swarming around there. And the big judgment thing here is, when do you go? Do you go early, or do you just sit there and try and take it on the line? And you get different stories from different people. It's quite interesting looking at the chats afterwards as to how people sort of don't get it quite right. And there's certainly, I think there is a little bit of swamping goes on at the end of these things. As you can see here, a few riders now just going for it with 300 metres. Now you think that might be a good time to go, but already you can see they're getting caught by the next batch of people who then go on to do their own little breakaway, but not far behind are the rest of the peloton. Now, with very little to go, less than 100 metres, you see Carlos Sella here, looking good for the finish, but just gets swamped by that surge from the peloton. And I think the skill is to get in that surge. Mark Rowbottom was the skillful man who took all the points. So well done, Ratio Racing. Tightening their grip on the team classification, as we will see later. And well done to him. Matthias Bergqvist and Esten Callas making up the podium. Nick Stevenson, Westerley in 4th place. But congratulations to Mark Rowbottom. So the big news and the big announcement from Westerley VR during May 2021 was the introduction of the 21 Dun Club, because Westerley VRs are not all about the winners, they're for everybody. We like the little mini races that go on at the back and everything else that goes into a Westerley VR race. We all get fitter and better. We might not win, but we enjoy the short races. So to reward those and give an opportunity for them to get into the RGT Westerley VR Hall of Fame, we've devised the 21 Dun Club. So if you ride 21 Westerley VR races, you'll be entitled to a little badge and some stickers, and the stickers are illustrated here today. The badges are still being made, and your name will go into the Hall of Fame Club, Westerley VR. So keep checking how many rides you've done. We do publish them, so look out on Facebook and on our website. We periodically update the list, and you can see on the westerley.cc website there is a news post with the current totals of everybody who's ridden 5 or more, so you can check it out. If you can't find it, we'll be announcing it again in a few weeks' time with the updated numbers. So look out for that. You might not win the races, but you can still be a star of Westerley VR. So into race 3.4, the second one in May, and they're off. Now, this was designed to break the peloton up on this first climb. If you look in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, the green line across the bottom is the profile, and you can see the little white dots coming out from the left of your screen. These are the riders. Now, that first little hill, we expected to break the peloton up a little bit more than it actually did. We ended up with a peloton of about 45 riders by the time we got to the top of it, which was more than we were expecting. And you can see it isn't that strung out from the little white dots on your screen. So that wasn't the only thing that went wrong. A lot of riders had dropouts or mechanicals or e-punctures, as we call them. And we had 8 non-finishers, as well as some people suffer and get going again, or they did cross the line, or they crashed as they crossed the line. So there was a lot of, I think, a lot of disappointed people that somehow didn't quite get the result they wanted. And there must have been some server issues on this race because it just happened to too many people. So we called it the race of the folding bikes, not only because some people's technical issues meant the race folded, but also because it started at the Brompton Bicycle Factory. That was what the route was based on, the folding bikes, of course. So peloton stuck together, and you can see halfway here the race getting a bit more strung out if you look at the bottom of the white dots along the profile, but there was still around 45 riders. So we'll jump to the last kilometre under the Flamme Rouge there. 900 metres to go, everybody jostling for position. You can see a few Southborough District Wheelers jerseys in there, the red, black and yellow jerseys. Purple ones are Westerly jerseys. The GCM ones, usually they're the Glasgow United team wearing GCN jerseys. So who's going to win? Well, 600k to go, and it's still pretty bunched, and everybody just being a little bit sly and making sure they're in the right position. You don't want to go too early, you'll probably get swamped at the end, and you can see this is quite a distinct bunch. Nobody quite dropping off at that point with 500 metres to go. Julian Fussell goes for it, but quickly closed down. So it's going to be a bunch sprint. Who is going to do it? We get here now down to the last 300 as we go through the last couple of twists here. And again, it's bunched. Mike just upping the effort there, you can see on your screen as we come into the last 200. This is the critical time now. You want to be well placed, and you've got to do this surge. And you can see the people coming behind and swamping those people just in front of them. The winner, Ned Bowen, James Melville, Mark Rowbottom and Alistair McAlpine making up the top 4. Very, very well-known names on RGT and Westerley VR. Ned Bowen showing his trophy from winning Series 1. And we can see in the individual placings, he's now up there Neck and neck with Rich Greenhalgh. You can see their photos on the left. Matthias Bergqvist in third place and James Melville fourth. So, all to play for. Quite tight in the individual championship there. All those names, very familiar names. Lesser known to most of you are us Westerley guys. This is our little private league that we have, awarding ourselves some points. Tim Cummins becoming the dominant rider there, consistently finishing in the bunch up front and just chalking up those points every time. There's different points allocations in that competition. And the team classification, so we have Ratio Racing beginning to dominate, Transatlantic Raiders right on their toes, Pedlars, Glasgow United, well, they could all do it. Team Sands, South Africa, New Zealand, Moon Riders. There's a lot to play for in this competition yet. We'll see you next time.
Westerley